Now we come to the last presentation, and that's the presentation under the title Nuclear Energy, Part of the Just Transition in the Western Balkans or Not. And the presenter is Strahinja Obrenović from Serbia, yes, University of Belgrade. Are you ready for presenting?
Yes, thank you very much.
So don't forget that you are given 15 minutes, okay? Thank you very much in advance.
I just want to share a PowerPoint presentation.
I think that below you can find the arrow, yes, showing that it should be shared, the screen, yes?
I think now you will be able to see the presentation.
We can see the presentation.
Thank you very much. First, we are talking about the region in the Europe that is currently outside the European Union. As you can see on this slide, there is a different kind of energy mix, which is used to produce the electricity in both EU and the Western Balkans. Currently, we are talking about the region that is highly dependent on the coal generation. So we have coal reserves, and there is a tradition of producing electricity mainly from the coal. The exception is the Albania as only country which is relying on hydropower. So almost completely, it's over-dependent on hydropower. Even we are talking about the renewable energy, something that is in line with the decarbonization goals. One of the criticism regarding the Albanian energy source is that it is highly dependent and dependable of the weather conditions generating hydropower. So the major issue, as you can see here, there is a kind of black hole, and we are talking about the region that is suffering from those consequences coming not only from the coal, but dominantly in the production sector, so to generate the electricity, and also in other sectors that are closely related with the energy sector. And as you can see, a lot of our power plants from this region and even other countries, for example, Ukraine and Turkey, that are closely related with the events around the EU, as some of the candidates countries to join this organization are also suffering the same problem or are facing the same problem. So are we prepared for the just energy transition? When we are talking about this region, it's highly dependent on the policy setting that is happening inside the EU. Although I mentioned once again, we are talking about the countries that are still in the negotiation process with Brussels to join this organization. And we have this pledge that is political, Sofia Declaration, so it's capital of Bulgaria, where the leaders of the Western Balkans joined with the EU counterparts in this city and pledged to do the same thing and mirror what was previously included in the EU Green Deal. One of the main organizations present here in our region is the Energy Community, which is actually adopting all of these rules, EU rules, and the aim is to extend the internal energy market. So how to integrate all of these countries in this segment of the energy transition. And on the same path, all of the countries in the regions are obliged to adopt national energy and climate plans. So in those national energy and climate plans, they actually set the targets for the decarbonization and all of the measures, how to achieve it. And of course, one of the issues which will come into the force by full in 2026 is the CBAM, or Carbon Border Adjustment Mechanism, which will influence all of the happenings even in this region, especially when we are talking about the electricity export from those countries to the EU, which, once again, I mentioned, are highly dependent on the coal generation. And now we are approaching the nuclear topic in the region, and we can see a clear division. There is no consensus even inside the EU when it comes to the nuclear energy as a source of their energy mix or their energy source in the whole energy structure. So we have currently 12 EU member states, so something below the half of all EU member states with nuclear reactors. But some of the events, especially in recent 2 or 3 years, are witnessing in favor of the nuclear energy, although there is still no consensus on this issue. One of the most important thing, I think, is the judgment in the case, as you can see, Austria versus Commission from the September this year, which actually court adopted that position that we can put nuclear energy and gas as a transition energy sources, which is in long term compatible with the decarbonization aims. Are we talking about the nuclear energy momentum in the region? We can say so because in the public sphere and in debates, politicians and leaders in our regions are setting this topic. This is especially the case for Serbia and North Macedonia. I'm coming from Serbia, and we have talked about the nuclear energy around 2021. Since that time, we have that in the public discourse. We can recall the 2021 with the high energy prices, which started by some of the political and market events. We have those Gazprom strategy on the gas market, and of course, we have those events that are not closely related with the political events, which are characterized as a perfect storm. We have underperformance of some renewable energy sources. We actually have the nuclear or the whole energy sector is becoming with all of the issue of aging infrastructure and so on the European continent. And finally, the year 2022, with the Russian attack on Ukraine, we have more impetus or push for the nuclear energy on the whole European continent. When we are talking about, once again, the region of the Western Balkans, we have this Chernobyl legacy after the nuclear catastrophe in that time Soviet Union. And as an answer on that event, we have nuclear moratorium or nuclear ban for the development of nuclear power plants, even for civil purposes using nuclear energy was forbidden. But we can see on this map that during that time, some of the neighboring countries, even on the eastern part of the political bloc in that time, during the Cold War era, for example, Romania, Bulgaria, Hungary as well, and other countries developed their nuclear capacities. And this is the setting even for this moment. We have this legacy and we have some of the current issues which are connecting on these days. So when we are talking about whether the nuclear energy is a part of the just transition in the Western Balkans, we can hear different arguments. We have this different kind of conceptual differences between centralized and decentralized energy system. For the most time, we were dependent on the centralized energy system, but more and more in recent time, we are moving toward the centralized energy system, which is characterized by the democratization of the energy sector, especially with the penetration of renewable energy like solar and wind projects. Now, when we have those discussions about the phase out of the coal, which is the still backbone of the energy industry in the Western Balkans, what will serve as a baseload power in the coming years? So whether nuclear energy can step in to be baseload power, we will see. Also, different kinds of energy justice tenets are related with those energy transition efforts in the Western Balkans, especially that having in mind the fact that the coal sector and coal mining sector are still employing a large part of populations here in the region. So it will be specifically relevant to implement just transition policies, which will address those issues. Of course, we can witness the geopolitics of energy, even on the field of nuclear discussion. For example, the most obvious example is Serbia, which is the leader nowadays in the region when it's coming to the discussion about the potential of nuclear energy. And we can see the interest not only from the Western actors and their Western companies, but there are also interests from other countries. For example, Russian company Rosatom is very interested to invest. This is not only case for Serbia, but we know the project in Hungary, Paks-2. We also have issue around that project in Hungary because of the state aid rules. I won't go into the details regarding that case. And also we have China. We have some of the Asian companies from other countries such as South Korea and Japan, and etc. And I think just to point out or highlight one more bullet point for discussion is the issue of transparency and accountability, which is the major issue nowadays in those countries. We are still talking about the countries which didn't consolidate democratic institutions. We are still struggling with the economic indicators because we are underperforming the EU average development. So if we are considering nuclear option, it is necessary to establish those institutions, and it will be a really financial burden on those countries to develop those projects. So one of the answer is to strengthen the institutions and enforce the regional cooperation. And that is for this part. I will leave more points for the Q&A sessions. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for very interesting presentation.